Welcome to The Explainer. Okay, today we are unpacking a fascinating, incredibly high-stakes journey. We're looking at the modern digital arms race. You know, we so often think of cybersecurity as just, antivirus software or groaning when we're forced to change a password. But the reality? It is a continuous, rapidly escalating battle. Today, we're going to track this arms race from the basic daily habits of individual employees right up to the absolute front lines where artificial intelligence is fundamentally changing how we defend and attack global networks. All right, let's look at the roadmap for today. We're covering essential cyber hygiene, inside the minds of hackers, the digital fortress, NS2, the European shield, and finally, the future, humans and AI. Let's get into it.
Section 1. Essential Cyber Hygiene. We're starting with the ANSSI guide.
So the French National Cybersecurity Agency, ANSSI, published a guide laying out 42 concrete measures to secure information systems. It sounds like a lot, but the core philosophy is actually really simple. Cybersecurity isn't just a problem for the IT experts down in the basement, it is literally everyone's responsibility. These are your absolute baselines. Think of your network like a castle, right? You wouldn't just leave the front gate wide open. Applying software updates within 30 days patches up holes in the castle walls before invaders can squeeze through. Changing default passwords, that's basically rekeying the locks when you buy a new house. And mapping the network helps you figure out exactly where your digital crown jewels are kept so you can lock them down with strong multi-factor authentication.
But what happens when the workers actually leave the castle? The ANSSI guide heavily flags the risks of nomadism, which is just a fancy term for remote work. When you are hammering away on your laptop at a coffee shop, you're in a totally uncontrolled environment. Using a virtual private network or VPN creates a secure encrypted tunnel straight back to the corporate network. So even if you're on completely public Wi-Fi, your data is practically invisible to anyone trying to snoop on it.
Moving to Section 2, Inside the Minds of Hackers. We're talking MITRE ATT&CK and the Red Team.
To properly defend a network, you literally have to know how the enemy thinks. Enter the MITRE ATT&CK framework. And this isn't just some theoretical academic paper. It's a globally accessible knowledge base built entirely on real-world observations of cyber incidents. It is, for all intents and purposes, the hacker's playbook. It maps out their tactics, so what their endgame is, and their techniques, exactly how they're going to pull it off.
Picture a thrilling red team simulation based on this exact playbook. The attackers don't dramatically hack their way in like in the movies. They usually just use stolen credentials for initial access. They basically find a dropped key on the sidewalk. Next, they fire up a notorious tool called Mimikatz to scrape the system's memory for higher-level passwords, effectively stealing the master keys to the castle. With those keys in hand, they use remote desktop protocols to silently map out sensitive servers, bundle up your data, and quietly exfiltrate it, perfectly disguised as normal HTTPS web traffic.
But the blue team, the defenders, they aren't just sitting there blind. They're piecing together clues like a giant digital puzzle. They might spot someone logging in via RDP at 3 a.m. from a totally unusual department. Or maybe they find the digital fingerprints of Mimikatz hiding out in the system logs. Immediately, they jump into action, isolating the compromised machine from the rest of the network and completely blocking all outward communication to the attacker's command and control server. Boom, data exfiltration stopped dead in its tracks.
All right, Section 3, the digital fortress. Let's look at the corporate SOC and DRP. So how do massive corporations actually manage this minute-by-minute warfare? They build a digital fortress centered around a security operations center, or SOC. The SOC is an absolute alphabet soup, but think of it like a highly coordinated human body. The EDR is the immune system right at the endpoint, fighting off infections on your specific laptop. The MAC, that's the bouncer, checking IDs at the door. The CM acts as the brain, processing millions of logs and correlating them to spot complex attacks. And the SOAR? That's the reflex system. If the brain spots a threat, the SOAR automatically isolates the machine in seconds, no waiting for a human to click a button.
And even if an attacker does breach the outer walls, we have a concept called microsegmentation. This ensures they are basically trapped in a tiny, isolated room. They can't move laterally across the network to find the really valuable data, strictly limiting the blast radius of any successful breach.
Okay, so a SOC is amazing for defending the inside of the castle. But ask yourself, what if the attack is brewing outside the walls, entirely out of the SOC's view?
That's exactly where Digital Risk Protection, or DRP, steps in. Think of DRP as your own private undercover agent. It is constantly patrolling the dark web looking for your company's leaked passwords. It's scanning social media for fake accounts impersonating your CEO and checking app stores for fraudulent apps trying to scam your customers. It anticipates and neutralizes threats before they even get close to your perimeter.
Zooming out now, Section 4, NIS2, the European Shield. Governments are realizing that leaving individual companies to defend themselves is just not cutting it anymore. A breach in one critical company can literally cripple society. Enter the European Union's NIS2 directive. NIS2 expands strict cybersecurity mandates to over 100,000 companies across Europe, classifying them into two main buckets. You have essential entities. These are the backbone of society. Think hospitals, power grids, transport. If they go down, people's lives are directly on the line. Then you have important entities, like major data centers or waste management. They are completely crucial to the economy, but a disruption won't immediately halt society.
The real game changer here is the massive shift in responsibility. Under NIS2, it is no longer enough to just secure your own house. You have to secure your entire supply chain, because hackers love targeting a small, weak vendor just to get access to a massive enterprise. You have to notify authorities of a significant incident within a strict 72-hour window. And honestly, perhaps most importantly, cybersecurity is officially no longer just an IT problem. Company management is now directly, legally responsible for making sure these defenses are in place.
And the authorities, they are absolutely not messing around. Failure to comply with NIS2 can lead to devastating fines. We are talking up to 10 million euros, or 2% of a company's total global revenue. Cybersecurity has firmly become a boardroom issue.
Finally, Section 5, the future, humans and AI.
Because this arms race, it never actually stops. As we look to the very near future, the battle lines are shifting dramatically, basically pitting peak human endurance against the raw, terrifying speed of artificial intelligence. Right now, becoming an elite human defender or ethical hacker requires just immense effort. Take the CPTS, the Certified Penetration Testing Specialist exam. It is a grueling 10-day practical exam where a candidate sits alone, simulating a massive, real-world network breach. It tests technical skill, sure, but mostly it tests intense psychological endurance and discipline.
And this brings us to the incoming paradigm shift. Because while a human is painstakingly grinding through those 10 days to test a network, look at what we have now. Entities like the Expo AI. Recently, this AI autonomously topped the HackerOne leaderboard. Just let that sink in. It can scan millions of lines of code instantly, recognizing complex vulnerability patterns that even the most seasoned human experts might completely miss after hours of staring at a screen.
AI is literally rewriting the rules of the game. It's democratizing top-tier security, allowing small businesses to suddenly afford world-class automated defense. But remember, the attackers have AI too. We are already seeing the rise of polymorphic malware, which is malicious code that autonomously rewrites itself on the fly just to evade detection. It is forcing the entire industry to rethink our security frameworks to handle the new reality of AI actively hunting through networks.
Which leaves us with a pretty chilling but totally fascinating reality. We are entering an era of AI versus AI in the digital trenches. I mean, if a system like Expo can be designed to be the ultimate ethical hacker, what happens when an AI is designed with purely malicious intent, becoming the ultimate cybercriminal? How will human defenders possibly stay a step ahead? It is the defining question of the next chapter in the cybersecurity arms race, and we are going to be watching it unfold in real time.